Hello, I'm George from Panouseris Yacht Charters, and today we're going to show you our catamaran Lagoon 380 Semele. This yacht can accommodate up to 10 people, and the layout is 4 cabins and 2 heads. Before we start with the technical presentation of the yacht, let's have a quick look at the living spaces of the yacht. So, let's start with the cabins. This yacht has 2 cabins in the bow and 2 cabins in the stern. Under all the beds on this yacht, you can find 2 life jackets. Also, in the stern cabins, under the beds, you will find 2 fire extinguishers, one on each side of the yacht. More life jackets and life belts can be found under the couch here. So, we are on the left stern cabin, and under the bed we can find all these switches. The first switch, the yellow one, is the thermical fuse for the anchor winch. The first red switch is for the service batteries. This red switch is for the engine of the left side, and the black switch on the bottom is for both the service batteries and the engine of the left side. We are now on the right stern cabin. Under the bed we can find 3 more switches. The 2 bottom switches are for the engine of the right side. The top switch is an emergency switch. This boat has 1 battery for each engine. If one of the 2 engine batteries is not working properly, you can turn this switch to connect the 2 engine batteries so that you can start both engines with 1 battery. After you start the engines, you need to turn this switch to the former position. So, let's see now about the toilets. First of all, we have the lights here. If you want to make shower, you take this out. In order to take the waters out, you need to press this button. This button is for the shower drain, which you press it once and it works for 20 seconds automatically. Inside the locker here, you can find the seacocks. In order to flush in, you need to take the switch to the left and pump. In order to flush out, you need to take the switch to the right and pump again. In order to prevent any kind of blockage, you should avoid dropping any kind of items inside the bowl. The left side toilet is equipped with a black water tank. The valve is located on this locker on the left aft cabin. In this position, the switch is on. If you want to use the waste tank, you need to turn the switch to the right. If you want now to empty the waste tank, you need to return the switch to its former position. So, let's see now the kitchen. Inside these lockers, you can find cups, plates, glasses, and coffee makers. Inside this drawer, you can find all the cutlery. And under here, you can find all the kitchen tools. In order to turn on the stove, you need to take the lighter, press inside the button, turn the switch, and ignite it with the lighter. After you keep it pressed for a few seconds to heat up, you release and then you can adjust the flame. To close it, you take it to the 0 position. The same applies for the rest of these two. About the oven, you can lock and unlock the door from here. In order to use the oven with the flame on the top, you press and you turn the switch to the right. In order to use the flame from below, you need to press and turn the switch to the left. For the oven, you can use either the flame on top or the flame at the bottom. The gas valves are located inside this locker. The first valve is for the stoves and the lower one is for the oven. In order to switch off the gas, you need to turn the switch to the right. If you want to use them again, you open them. Inside this locker, we can also find the freshwater pump. Here we can see the freshwater filter, and these two valves are to change between the two water tanks. Now the yacht takes water from this tank, the left one. The right one is closed. Usually we operate the freshwater pump with only one tank on. In order to switch between the tanks, you need to first close the freshwater pump from the panel, which I will show you later in the video, and then you need to turn this switch to the right to close the one tank and open the other one. Then you can switch on the freshwater pump again and open one tap to operate normally. Here we have the fridge unit. After you have switched on the fridge unit from the panel, you can adjust the power from the switch here. Also, inside here we have a small deep freezer. So, here we have the chart table. Inside the chart table, we can find the Greek waters pilot, all the maps of the yacht, and some navigational equipment. We have the divider and parallel roller here, hand bearing compass, mirror signals. Inside the chart table, we can also find the keys of the boat. Outside here, we can see the one of the two plotters. The plotter inside and the plotter outside are connected. In order to have all the information available on both plotters, you need to have them both on at the same time. Here we have the radio with USB, auxiliary and Bluetooth. Under the radio we have the VHF. We have the international call sign here in case of emergency. You can change the channels from here, and you can adjust the volume here. Distress button is over here. This yacht is equipped with two VHFs, one inside and one outside. When you need to use the VHFs, you need to make sure that one of the two VHFs is switched off. You need to use only one at a time. This is because the antennas of the two VHFs are really close up in the mast and the one will interfere with the other. Now let's see the electrical panel. On the left side of the panel we have the 230 volts. When the yacht is connected to the shore power, you see the red light here and you also see the meter with the voltage. Here we have the switch for the battery charger and the AC outlets. Here we have the switch for the water heater. If you want to use the water heater through the shore power, you need to turn the switch on, wait half an hour, close it, and then make your shower. There is also a second way to use the water heater. When you have the left engine running, you have automatically hot water. On the right side of the panel we have the 12 volts. Here we have the switch for the cabin lights. This switch controls all the lights inside the yacht, the electric fans around the boat, and the shower drains in the toilets. This switch is for the fridge unit. This is a spare fuse. Here we have the switch for the freshwater pump. When the freshwater pump works, you see green light on the panel. Under this switch we have the switch for the bilge pumps. If you press the switch on the left, you use the bilge pump on the port side. If you take it on the right, you use the bilge pump on the starboard side. This switch is for the navigation instruments. This switch gives electricity to the plotter inside and the instruments outside, plus the autopilot. Here we have the deck light, anchoring light, motoring light, and sailing lights. On this display here we can see the voltage of the engine and the service batteries, the water tanks and the diesel tanks. Here we see about the engine level and auxiliary level, water tanks and diesel tanks. The lower button is for light in the panel. If you have low voltage on the service battery, there is a possibility that you hear alarm. The alarm will come through the two VHF battery chargers. In order to stop the alarm, you need to press buzzer stop on both VHF chargers, and then you will need to start the engine to charge the batteries. All the necessary equipment is located inside these two compartments. Under here we can find the toolbox, the binoculars and the winch handles. On the other locker we can find all the safety equipment. Inside here you will find the first aid kit, the lifelines, some more life jackets and a bag with the flares. This yacht has 3 hand flares, 3 parachute rockets and 2 smoke signals. Now let's continue with the outside of the yacht. Let's start with the lockers. First of all, under here you can find 2 gas bottles. Under here we have the shore power cable, foot pump for the dinghy, 5 liters of spare fuel for the outboard, spare ropes and also 2 handles for the manual bilge pumps right there. On the other side here, under the couch, we have the life raft. When sailing, the back rails should be attached like this and the gangway in this position. When you want to open the gangway, first of all, you need to take out the back rails. Then you will need to untighten the safety knots from here and take control of the gangway halyard. You need to come down here, and while keeping the back side of the gangway down, you need to pull up a bit the other part and then push out. After you adjust the gangway to the desired height, you block the rope and then don't forget to make 2 safety knots over the breaker. Here we have the dinghy. When sailing, the dinghy must be in this position with the outboard installed. Also, when the dinghy is in the upper position, no one should be inside the dinghy. To operate the dinghy and lower it, you need to use both ropes on these brakes. We recommend that in each rope there is a different person. To take it down, you open the brake and you control the rope. Then you can unhook the clips and you're ready to go. Here we have the instruments. You have the outside plotter, the two multifunctional displays, the controller of the autopilot, and the second VHF. Let's start with the VHF. To switch it on, you open the power button. You can adjust the volume from here, and you can change the channels from here. The stress button is here. To switch off, you use the switch. Here you have the plotter. You can zoom in and zoom out from here. You can also see the depth meter here. The depth meter is measuring from the physical location of the sensor located under the hull. The draft of this yacht is 1.6 meters. Here we have the first of the multifunctional displays with wind indication, depth and speed. You can change the page with these two buttons. The same applies to this one. Here we have the controller of the autopilot. After you have set your course, you need to press auto. Plus 10 degrees, minus 10 degrees, plus 1, minus 1. Stand by and the rudder is free again. Also here you can see the position of the rudder. About the engines, this yacht has two 30 horsepower Yanmar engines. The filling point for the diesel tanks is one here and one on the other side. About the engine, you can check the cooling water from the plastic bottle in the corner, and also you can check the oil from the dipstick on the right. The consumption of this engine is 3.5 liters per hour for each engine. Now for the other side. We have the second filling point for the diesel tank here. You can connect the shore power cable here. And also on the other side we also have the cockpit shower. Now let me show you how to start the engines. To start the left engine, you press this button once and you wait a few seconds for the alarm. Now you press the top button. After you have started the left engine, you must see water coming out of the hull on the left side. To start the right engine, you go through the same procedure. When the right engine has started, you must see water coming out from the right side. Now, if you want to charge your batteries, you can use the throttle in neutral. To go neutral, you need to push the lever out and open the throttle. The same applies on the other engine. You pull out and you open the throttle. When you bring the lever to the middle, it will go inside. To go forward, you first block the gear and then you open the throttle. From forward to reverse, you need to wait a few seconds for the revs to go down. To go reverse, you first block the gear and then you open the throttle. The same applies for the right engine. You first block the gear. For reverse, when sailing, the gear must always be in neutral position. Now, to stop the engines. To stop the engines, first of all, you need to press the stop button. When the engine stops, you need to switch off the electrics by pressing this button for 4 seconds. The same applies here. On this yacht, because the propellers are behind the rudder, so this means that the propellers are more close to the stern, when maneuvering or when using the propellers, be very careful of ropes, chains or other objects that they can get tangled with the propellers. If something gets to the propellers, the engines will most likely stop. In the bow of the yacht, we have 2 small lockers that can occasionally be used as small cabins. Also here we have the net. On the net, no more than 3 people should be standing on it. Of course, jumping is not allowed. Also here inside, we have a big locker. Here we have the 50-meter floating line, water hose, 20 liters of spare diesel in case of emergency, the oars for the dinghy, spare ropes, and also the emergency tiller. We can also see here the filling point for the left water tank and the right water tank. Now let me show you about the anchor winch. First of all, in order for the anchor winch to work, you will need to have the left engine running. You can access the control of the anchor winch through this window on the saloon. Inside this locker, we have the second anchor with 20 meters of chain and the anchor winch with 65 meters of chain. As you see, the space for the chain is very limited. So when you're taking the chain up, every 10-15 meters you should pause, rearrange the chain and then continue. This is because if the chain gets stuck under the anchor winch, it can jump and fall over. Now, to operate it, if the chain is too tight, you may need to loose it up from the controller and give a gentle push to the anchor before you start. To go down, you press the down button. To go up, for the last few meters you will need to go slow, and when the chain is completely up, you need to leave it a bit loose. When taking the chain up, you must be sure that the yacht is going to the chain in order for the chain to come up while vertical on the surface of the water. If the chain is too tight when coming up, the thermal fuse of the anchor winch may trip. When anchoring, you need to use this rope. This rope is connected on both sides of the bow, and the purpose of this rope is to keep the chain in the middle of the yacht. When taking down the chain, 3 meters before you have finished, you need to apply this hook somewhere in the chain. Then you will need to loose more the chain till this rope gets tight. Around the yacht there are 4 big windows in the hull. There are 2 windows on each side of the yacht. When placing the fenders, you should not put any of them in front of the windows in order to avoid any kind of damage. Now let me show you about the mainsail of this yacht. This yacht is equipped with a full button mainsail with 2 reefs. The reefs are located in the stern of the yacht. To know which reef is which, you need to check the boom. The reef that is closer to the stern is the first reef, and the one that is closer to the bow is the second. When you want to open the mainsail, you need first of all to open the lazy pack from here and from the zip all the way to the back. Also, when you don't use the mainsail, we recommend that you hook the mainsail halyard under here, so in case of strong wind, the sail cannot go up. When you want to take up the mainsail, you need to steer the yacht facing the wind direction. About the genoa of this yacht. When you want to open the genoa, first of all, you need to open the brake of the roller from here. Then you need to pull the genoa seat depending the wind direction from here. You can operate both genoa seats from here, or if you want, you can also do it from the other winch. When you want to close the genoa, you need to pull this rope while at the same time controlling the genoa seat that it's in use. Then, after you have finished closing the sail, you need to close the brake and then secure both genoa seats. To make your stay more comfortable, this yacht is equipped with a sun tent for the net area. To equip the tent, you need to apply the rope on the genoa and then to the mast. After you secure these 2 ropes, Then you can apply the hooks on the rails. Now let me show you how to operate the outboard. Before you start the engine, make sure that these screws are tightened. To start the outboard, you need first to open the fuel from here. Open the choke when it's cold. We open the air vent and then we bring the gas to start position. Then we pull the cord out till we find resistance. Then we should pull it harder. When you start, close the choke. The propeller works automatically. So when I open the throttle, the propeller will start. Now, to switch off the outboard, you need to press this button till the motor stops. Then you will need to close the air vent tight so no water is coming in, and then close the fuel. This outboard is air-cooled, so you won't see any water coming out of it. But in order for the outboard to operate properly, it needs to be inside the water, not outside in the deck. From all the Panouseris Yacht Charters team, thank you for watching our video. If you have any questions, we are more than happy to answer them. Let us know how you feel about our video in our social pages. We're looking forward into welcoming you on board.